Welcome back to Chat Shit. We're talking about the best recruits in 2024. Who had the best impact for their team? Who maybe improved on a new team? And looking to the trade period in 2025, who really got it right last year? So start us off, Aiden. Who did you think was the fifth best recruit or pickup last year?
I have Jeremy Sharp, who's now at Fremantle. I think he just had a really impactful season from the wing. You don't really see wingers too often have this sort of impact on a club, but the amount of run that he brings going both ways, being a player that didn't really fit in and then got moved on to Fremantle and is now a good player.
Yeah, can I tell you, there are certain teams where there are just a lot of players that leave that club and then become a lot more successful. And I feel like, unfortunately, Gold Coast is one of those clubs. And it's sort of like Essendon's definitely one of those clubs. And it sort of shows a bit about where the club's at, I think. And so I find that quite interesting. And so I think, I hope Gold Coast retains some of their current talent. Jeremy Sharp was great. In number 5, I've got Ben Mackay. So Essendon, I think, found a good one here. He is a really strong key back. Complements the rest of their backline quite well. They have a lot of real good ball movers in there. You've got your Jordan Ridley, Mason Redman, Andrew McGrath, Nick Martin sometimes in the backline. A lot of good ball movers. Ben Mackay is just a solid rock, and I think he was a great fit for Essendon.
I like it. He just missed out on my top 5. Number 4, I had James Jordan. A guy we were excited to join the Swans, but we didn't think he'd have nearly as much impact. No one ever saw him as a tagger. Longmire gave him that role, and he impressed when it was Whitfield and Walsh early on, and he's been able to kick really important goals this year. Popped up in great areas of the ground, forward of the ball.
Locked down the best players in the competition.
100%, and I feel like I haven't really seen him have off games when he is tagging. When he's sort of found himself a little bit lost when he's not tagging anybody.
I don't know how much I agree with that. I think he plays a really solid role, even when he's not tagging. But yeah, he has had quiet games. My number 4 is Jack Ginnivan, who has been monstrous for Hawthorn compared to what he was for Collingwood. He showed glimpses at Collingwood, but he's shown himself as a really good team player and a really consistent forward as well, which people weren't so sure about. But he's absolutely proved it now. Hawthorn found a great one there, and he fits their personality perfectly, doesn't he?
100%, and I'll just join in because I have him at number 3. I think Collingwood saw him as a different player to what Hawthorn see him as. I think Collingwood saw him as he's going to sit always forward of the ball, and he's going to be a small forward that's just going to pick up the crumbs. But no, Sam Mitchell's sort of reinvented him a little bit. Gets up the ground. We've seen him taking marks at halfback before coming up. His work rate is a lot better than I initially thought it was when he was at Collingwood. He works up and down the ground a lot. And I always saw him as someone that was a little bit selfish, as in when he gets a chance, he's going to snap it from 45. No, he's passes off all the time now, whether that's just because he's got these older mentors in Dylan Moore and Luke Bruce, as small forward guys who are elite at the position.
I reckon he just loves his situation. He's got a bunch of best mates now at his club, and he just feels happy and comfortable, and so he's playing naturally, which is selflessly.
100%, yeah. I'd love to see it, because he was like almost rejected, as in the story was that he was rejected by Collingwood. He wanted to stay there, but they didn't want him.
Said he didn't get a single message from a teammate or anyone in the administration or coaching telling him to
100%,
stay.
And he's got a massive upside as well.
Yep. My number 3, I've got James Jordan, who I think you can pick and choose. Jordan and Ginnivan were both great pickups, but James Jordan, I've just absolutely loved the role he's played. I thought he was one of the most improved players in the competition this year, which we talked about in a recent video, and he really just is the epitome of a selfless player, which we just touched on with Ginnivan, and that fits into, if you want to win a premiership, you need guys like James Jordan in your team, and he's been a fantastic pickup.
100%. Those role players are the guys that probably make some of the most difference in the team. Number 2, I have Massimo D'Ambrosio, a guy we've mentioned in so many categories and videos that we've talked about this year. Absolutely exploded. A guy that was lost on Essendon's list, as you talked about. They just can't keep these talents or can't let these talents excel. And what he's done on Hawthorn's wing to almost come in and almost be an all-Australian winger in his first season is ridiculous.
Yep. When he was not really getting a game at Essendon last year, only due to injury. He played 8 games, some of which were off the bench, and he really just was. We didn't see anything of him until this year, and now we really see who he is.
I mean, he's gone from the fringes of Essendon to almost an all-Australian winger.
Yeah, and at my number 2, I've got Massimo a little bit higher. At number 2, I've got Brodie Grundy. And I think when you're picking and choosing between Massimo and Brodie Grundy here, I think Brodie Grundy has probably been more important to the Swans in terms of we really had no solid ruckman. Tom Hickey had some good games, but he was not consistent. Couldn't run across the ground as well. But Brodie Grundy has not been as consistent as we would have liked him to be. Started the season so hot, but I really, really hope in these final 2 games of the year he proves me wrong and proves that he was the best pickup of the year. But he's been great.
Yeah, I've got him at number 1, Brodie Grundy, and I've just seen it as someone that the Swans absolutely needed.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that he takes us to a premiership this year, and he's been hugely influential. Yes, he's had his quiet games, but he's still been that cog that the Swans were really missing, and
Definitely.
they realised they had that problem, they fixed that problem, and he's a guy that does have the ability to have great games, and he does have huge impact on games.
Yeah, talking about splashing your money in the right places, the Swans have absolutely done that. They knew they had star power in the midfield and a solid backline. They needed a ruckman and they needed role players, and that's what they've done with Brodie Grundy and James Jordan. Obviously, I've got Massimo at number 1, and I just think the way that there really has not been a downside to his season. Even though Brodie Grundy was such a perfect fit for the Swans, I think you got to put Massimo number 1. Hawthorn and Sam Mitchell have done amazingly with him.
100%, and it's just a testament that there are 2 Swans and 2 Hawks here. So yeah, if you can get it right in the off-season, pick up these guys that are on the fringe of other teams and make them real important players in your team, it can go a long way, because they might not be on the most money either. Swans
and Hawks were the 2 big jumpers this year. 2 big jumpers in the league. Swans shouldn't have made finals last year. They were the 9th or 10th best team, and then they are the best team this year so far. And then the Hawks come from 16th to almost making a prelim. So if you can make these pickups, it has that tangible impact.
100%, because everyone's got the same salary cap.
Yep.
So everyone's working under the exact same conditions. But when you can find these gems for, instead of paying 900K for an established one, but if you can find D'Ambrosio from the fringes of Essendon, who would have been delisted after a few more years, and now he's a star at Hawthorn. They're the guys that really can change a club.
Yeah. So who did you think? What pickups did we miss out on? Did you think Jade Gresham or Taylor Adams, these guys were top 5 pickups in the league this year? Maybe BZT, Brandon Zerk-Thatcher, who's just played a really great game for Port Adelaide and will have a big role to play in the last couple of weeks of the season. Let us know in the comments below.